So now that we've got hotkeys, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about custom menu and actually custom interface like this stuff down here. So what we're going to want to do is, let's go ahead and exit out. I'm going to clear this palette over here because I want to have, and actually, you know what? I'm going to clear this palette over here. So I'm actually going to get rid of my tools menu temporarily. If I need it back to grab something out of it, I'll grab it back. But for now, I'm going to go preferences, and I'm going to drag that over here. And under the preferences, let's go ahead and shut these menus down here. If you go under config, you're going to see this enable customize button. Go ahead and hit that, and you're going to see your ZBrush interface changes a bit when you hit that. Now sometimes you're doing your custom UI and you forget that that's enabled. Your visual cue is it changed. This big space up here pops down. But generally speaking, actually not generally speaking, don't work in ZBrush with enable customize on just in case. Just go ahead and turn that off when you're ready to start working again. And just like hotkeys, when you're done customizing your UI, go ahead and hit store config, and or you can save your UI and go load it back in later. But store config will make sure that every time you start up ZBrush, it'll start up with your new custom UI. So again, enable customize, and so now at this point we can actually do quite a few things. So for instance, I was dropping some brushes down here. Let's go ahead and play around with that. I'm actually going to move this preferences over here, and I'm going to put my brushes over here. So do a little bit of docking here. Let's say I've hit R and I don't have a whole lot of brushes here, and I want very specific brushes down here. Part of the problem is if you drag this big brush square down there, that is going to, and even if you drag it into another menu or custom menu, this is going to give you access to your brush palette. Generally, I don't really need that because I can always hit B. B is right there, and I already know that's a hotkey. So don't necessarily want to do that. But if I want to go in here and grab something, maybe a brush I use occasionally, but not a whole lot, let's say crumple. I'm going to tap crumple. Remember, this crumple isn't what you need. It's the big one. It's the palette when you touch it. However, after you touch crumple, you're going to see crumple shows up down here. Now, this is the one I want because when I touch any of these, this actually selects the brush as opposed to selecting the brush palette, which I don't need. If there's another one in here, let's say curved surface, and let's do one more, Deco 1. Let's say we use those all the time. So I got Deco 1, crumple, and curved surface is starting to build up in here. Now don't hit R because it's going to temporarily just get rid of those. But now that we've tapped them and used them recently, we have access to them. So how I'm going to move stuff around, and this goes for everything we're doing, is we need to have enable customize on, number one. Number two, we're going to hold down Control Alt, and we're going to grab. So we're going to grab, with holding down Control Alt, we're going to grab Deco, and we're going to pop it right down here. And it's going to kind of light up this area when you go to drop it, and you can kind of reposition it if it doesn't do it exactly. Control Alt, grab crumple, just drop it down here. And what's the other one? Curved surface, Control Alt, drop it down here. So now if I go out of enable customize, you're going to see I'm just back to the regular ZBrush surface. And now if I tap through these, it's going to do curved surface, crumple, deco, snake hook. All of these are just available to me. Same thing with materials. Let's do some materials really quick. So I'm going to get rid of this brush menu. And I'm going to go over here to the material menu, drag that over here. Turn on enable customize again. Now, just like the brush palette, I don't want to do this unless, you can do the material palette. You can drag the material palette window wherever you want. But in this case, I actually want to use specific material. So I use basic material to check my lighting, matcat material to check, to turn down the color and do retopologizing. Let's say you use chrome a lot. Actually, let's grab a weirdo one in here that we don't use. So dots oatmeal. Is that what that is? Dots O metal, not oatmeal. Dots O metal. Go ahead and touch it, so that brings it back here in this recently used palette. Hold down Control Alt. Go ahead and drag it in here, and if I drag it kind of in the middle of one of these things, it's going to want to overtake it, so you might have to do a little bit of finagling, like move blob, move dots oatmeal, move blob back. So just kind of drag stuff around as you see fit. And then once you're done, go ahead and untap, enable customize, and then you're back ready to rock and roll. That's kind of cool looking. So if you decide, you know what, I don't actually want all that stuff, go ahead and turn enable customize back on, hold down Control Alt, just drag them off into the document window and they'll get rid of them. So I don't need any of these things actually. And you know what, I'm going to get rid of soft clay as well. Don't really use that. And snake hook I'm going to drag in here. So I've actually updated my UI. Now that I've updated my UI and it's something I like and I want to keep, I'm going to untouch enable customize, and then it's going to hit store config, and it's go ahead and it'll restart, and I won't have all that stuff in here that I didn't need.